Transform your time, transform your life. Seizing the seconds, transform your time, transform your life. That's right. Some time.
We're often at a crossroad where we understand the importance of achieving our goals. But how rarely do we actually do that? A year passes, you reach your milestones, and you say, I want to be more fit. I want to be more financially free. Or perhaps I want to find the one. Whatever it is, we're grappling with these situations. But for how long must you defer those goals? For how long must you defer your dreams? Manage the seconds so that you can achieve your purpose. Hi, my name is Mukadi Shumane, and welcome, fellow Toastmasters today. In today's speech, I really want us to grapple with this monster of time. Tick, tock, tick, tock. Now, I was watching, I'd say I consume a lot of YouTube. And I guess by way of introduction, I'm a chartered accountant in financial services. But really, I joined Toastmasters because of my passion. With any person, I believe in the arc of the hero. Now, what is the arc of the hero? You see, you watch movies, right? You tend to see a common theme. There's an introduction where you're living your life, but then for some reason, there's that inciting event. For example, in Star Wars, remember Luke Skywalker, he never wanted to save the world, but when the aunt died, he knew he had to do something. For me, the inciting event was at university, struggling to get marks that were reflective of the work I was putting in. I knew something had to change. I wanted to become a chartered accountant, but boy, those marks were terrible. Very terrible. I remember my mom saying, what's happening? I had to transition and understand that it wasn't about my talent or intelligence anymore. I had to tap into something more, my academic potential. Within that journey of discovery, time management came about. Now, I'm sure this is how you want to feel, right? Perhaps there you want to graduate, like I did, chartered accountant today, but it's not easy. Or perhaps at work, you want to achieve your deadlines or accomplish your goals. Money, definitely. I've never met anyone who says they don't want to make money. Or perhaps you just want to have more time with the loved ones, the people that truly matter in your life. No matter what the goal is, you need to manage your time. Let's look at some of the misconceptions around time management. There's not enough time in a day. How many times have we heard that? There's not enough time in a day. But then I want to put it back and say, really? You could scroll. You were able to chat, but there's no time. Today, just by way of reference, everyone decided to attend this meeting today. No one forced you, but there was something, a burning desire within you to say, I need to change something. What I'm realizing more and more often, whether it's in my own life or working with fellow young professionals in my coaching career, wherever I may be, at work, school, with my interactions with friends, I start realizing that actually time management is all about being intentional. When you're intentional about what you need to do and you put it down, it'll generally get done. So the question is not, is there enough time? The question is, am I ready to put in the time? That should be the question. The second misconception, I can do it all myself. Most of us here are working, right? Yeah, right? That's a good thing. But some of you might be saying, no, Kanti, that's not a good thing. Where am I going to get the time to study? Where am I going to get the time to achieve my goals when I'm always tired? but then the power of leverage. You see, successful people, and in many fraternities and many institutions, they realize that time is actually a compounding factor. What do I mean by this? You don't have to play by the rules that says you have to do everything. Simple things like mundane chores at home. Instead of you doing them, perhaps you can outsource them. Outsource them, get someone to do it for you. Nothing is lost. It's just about understanding and doing an analysis. What are the activities that I'm doing? What can I cut? What can I outsource to someone else? So that you ultimately spend the time to do the things that really drive where you need to be in your life. The third misconception: with more work means less leisure. Now, interestingly, I found, and this is a true story, at the height of me being a poor student at university, I was working 10 times harder than everyone else without actually seeing the results. The minute I started being more conscious about how I was using my time, I was actually spending less time. In fact, I remember in my honors year, I actually qualified to do honors. About 10% of people do that in the class. And equally, I had started my business, but still I was getting more marks than the people who were spending time in the library, more hours. So it wasn't about hours. It was the fact that I was intentional with when and what I needed to do. You start realizing that now you've got more time to spend time with your family. You can actually rest. You can actually now factor in the work that you need to put in. And collectively, you actually become more productive and do more. So again, I talk about that misconception to say, actually, by having a time management mechanism in place, what you actually do, you start achieving, but also living the life that you want to. So maybe just as a question mark, what is your ideal life? What is that successful life? Right? There's a book I want to quote at this moment. And really, it talks about the fallacy, the arrival fallacy. We often think that happiness would occur once we achieve something, right? So once I get promoted at work, then I'll be happy. Once I start getting that extra paycheck, then I'll be happy. Whereas actually, you can plot the life you want to live today. What do I want to do in the morning? What do I want to do in the afternoon? What do I want to do in the evening? If you put it down and you feel genuinely fulfilled by the fact that I put it in, I did it, that, in my opinion, is time well spent. So avoid the narrative that time is about working more. No, time is about being intentional with what you want to do so that you can say, during this period, I want to spend time with friends and family. During this period, I want to work. During this period, I want to attend meetings. It's all about being intentional. So I know what you're thinking right now. Okay, how do I reclaim this time? I'm feeling that I know this is me. I'm struggling with everything I need to do, but how exactly do I go about it? Let's go and talk about it. Start off with setting goals. I know it sounds cliche. It sounds cliche, but let me tell you, it all starts with your goals. I was reflecting the other day. I was actually talking to a friend of mine. I was like, gosh, this first 6 months of the period have been, in my opinion, the most productive I've ever been in my life. I set out a clear goal at the beginning of the year, right? I had spiritual goals. I had relationship goals. I had financial goals, educational goals, leadership goals, digital creation goals, entrepreneurship goals. I had a lot of goals. Needless to say, we all have. I put it down. But then the interesting thing was that I had to ideally look at what is my avatar? What is the ideal version of time? You always have to start there. Where do you see yourself? And then you'll see when we come to the second point, then you start the most important thing, in my opinion, which is schedule. You see, if you don't put it down, it will never get done. Honestly, most of the things that I've been able to do is because I put it down. If you don't put it down somewhere, notes, calendar, whatever, chances are you won't get it. So you start off with the ideal avatar of where do you see yourself? What are the goals? Be as broad as possible, right? What would make me happy? Then you need to put in the time, schedule it. So I work with a simple timetable, put it in. So I want to start being on YouTube. So I put in an hour to start developing my YouTube creation. I want to be more of a trader, so put in the time, right? I want to spend more time with my family. Perhaps on weekends I can do that. Just put in the time. You'll be amazed. Some of the people I work with, especially in my coaching business, where they're like, this is so amazing. It's so simple. We just sit down and what does your ideal day look like? Then they'll tell me, I want to wake up at 8. They wake up at 8. Then I've got to do work. Then they do work. I want to gym because I want to. Then we put it in from 5 to 6. You go to gym. Then you're like, but I also have to study. Okay, we'll talk about that. You put in the study. Then after, but I want to spend time with my family. Perhaps I can sit with them on Saturday. All of a sudden, they start having more control. So schedule. I'll give you an example later on the presentation of the timetable that I use. Really not complex. It's on Excel. Simple. You can do it. But at this point in time, I want to emphasize the importance of scheduling. Maximize productivity. Now, many people don't actually realize that scheduling is not enough, right? Because if you're sluggish when you do your task, does it really matter that you put it in? No. You need to understand when are you most productive and be honest. And this is especially true for the students. Those of you who are studying right now, trying to balance that incredible workload, as well as being able to do the things like work, family, be honest with yourself, with when am I most productive? For example, in my opinion, I was more productive at night. So it makes sense for me that when I want to do deep work, and when I talk about deep work, I'm talking about work that pushes my thinking capacity. That could be work, for example, like studying. If I want to create a new business process, I need to do it then. If I want to create something new, and we all have it within us, that inclination to create, to drive new things, or to learn new things. Always do it when you're most productive, right? When you fit in productivity within your scheduling, you then start being able to pick up and then being able to achieve more with the limited time you have. Okay. So this is actually my timetable that I use. I don't know if it's visible, but I can share. So you can clearly see that I have work, right? So by the way, I'm currently doing 5 things, right? So I work like many of you, technical accountant. I work so from 8 to 5. Generally, I'm here. I've got a coaching program where I need to be there about 3 times a week, coaching. So far, it's a beta program. So it's students that are studying accounting and UNISA. So effectively, I've selected a few of them to work with, and hopefully it works well in the future. So that coaching program requires about 2 hours of my time, 3 times a week. So that would be on Mondays, on Thursdays, and then on Saturdays. In addition to that, I am a YouTuber. So if you want to check out some of the stuff I do, you can go. Don't want to be that person who spam me, but but just I have to mention that. So I have to put in time to create content, do research, shoot. So I put it in. You'll see there some of the days I put it in there. Toastmasters is a very important element of what I do as well. Elevating my speaking, improving every Tuesday, and we'll talk a bit about that after my speech, where I think we should all be utilizing our Tuesdays to improve our speaking. So for me, Tuesdays are all about speaking, whether it's here or whether it's researching, whatever I need to do to elevate my speaking. Every Tuesday, I put it in. Then, of course, I need to gym, exercise. I'm not the fittest. I must admit, I still need to work harder on that, but it's there. At least it's there. Now I can actually say that if I don't do it, you decided not to do it. It's on your calendar, right? Then, of course, I need to rest. There's rest there. Literally, I say there, I need to rest. Fridays, I try not to. Even on Saturdays, that's for me to spend time. So I have my partner, spend time with me on Saturdays or family, whatever I need to do. Saturdays is just for relaxing and hopefully networking where I network. And then Sundays, spiritually, that's important to me. So remember my avatar was work, YouTuber. You remember my avatar? Work, YouTuber, coaching program, entrepreneurship. All of those things, where are they, guys? They're on my calendar. If it's not on your calendar, it won't get done. Put it down. If you want to write a book, even if it's 30 minutes, you'll be amazed. It's all about habits. Habits build productivity, habits build on, and habits over habits over habits then get you to the goal you want to do. Right? So don't nebulize it. Do it. Do it today. Do it today. No, that is my timetable. And just to show that I'm actually doing this, it's not just a speech. And hopefully you can also benefit from it. So we talked about productivity, right? And really there are four constructs that we're talking about: time blocking, time management, spoke about. But really I want us to focus on the last two blocks, which is energy management and deep work. I did mention that I consume a lot of content. And one of the areas that when I do my research, I realize that when you talk about deep work, it's all about maximizing productivity that I've mentioned. And you get what we call your manager time, and then you get what we call the creator time, which is sort of where you do your deep learning. You need to be able to differentiate between the two. For example, a lot of us working, especially in corporate, we have a lot of meetings, right? And meetings are sort of manager time. That's not really going to push the boundaries in terms of the things that you need to achieve, but ultimately you need to attend those meetings. So I actually started using a new software now called Calendar. It's available that you guys can use as well. So now I know that whenever I have to have a meeting or things like that, I actually put in the time when I know that I can meet with people. That's purely manager time. Where I now have to be more productive, then that's where my creator time is. So my advice, especially this becomes especially true for those of you in corporate and really having a large volume of meetings, or some of you might be entrepreneurs right now, and you know that you have to train people, coach them, all of that. My advice to you would be try to distinguish between manager time and creator time. Don't neglect creator time. Creator time is the reason why you move your business from generating, let's say, 10,000 to 1 million. It's the reason why you move from being an FM to a senior financial manager. You know, it's what pushes it's what pushes your growth. So be selfish about having creator time. For me, my creator time is more on Wednesdays and Tuesdays. So if I'm not in Toastmasters, I've got creator time, right? Alternative Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So have your creator time, which is this is where you're going to build in yourself, create and develop. Right? And obviously make sure that the managers in your life, which could be friends, family, colleagues, or even just people in your business, wherever they may be, that they don't interfere with your creator time. Yeah, I say this all the time, but seldom people simply don't listen. I've been guilty of that as well, but I must tell you now that sleep is at the core of productivity. It's at the core of managing. It's about incrementally improving and making sure that for every single minute you spend, that you're able to get incremental benefits back. For me, it's all good to have the scheduling, to be productive. So everything is building on, right? We understand the importance of scheduling. We also understand the importance of being productive when we work. But that productivity is driven by your energy levels. If you don't sleep, then the likelihood of being able to maximize that time is quite low. Simple thing like sleep allows, especially most of us in our lives are creators, whether it's learning, right? Whether it's our businesses, whether it's work, whatever. We have to be able to consolidate information, right? There's a realm of science out there that shows and posits that when you study and when you sleep effectively, right, actually what's happening in your mind is that your brain is consolidating information. Right? This is where we learn and the pathways for long-term memory come in. And you want the information to be in your cortex, which is where you store your long-term memory. Inability to sleep results in you forgetting information, so you don't translate the benefits that you put in. And I actually saw this practically, even when I was at my lowest, getting those low marks in university. I realized that I used to cram, study long hours, and then 2 weeks later, I forgot the information. When I started sleeping, all of a sudden now, the information I could recall it at any moment in time. I was spending less time preparing for my exams. So I really got the benefit of sleep quite early on, and I've never turned back ever since. So very important. If you think you're not achieving where you need to be, sleep. You'll be amazed that it makes you feel good. It helps you be productive so that you can ultimately achieve the goals that you want. Prioritization goes without saying. Prioritization is key. So my scheduling is fluid, but it's always habitual, right? So I appreciate the importance of having habits, but I also realize that within those specific time blocks, I need to put in tasks. So this is where you need to understand, and they call it the Eisenhower matrix, where understand what's urgent, what's important, and be able to differentiate between the two. Focusing more time on urgency, right, and importance, and less time on less urgent and less. But be careful of this, because sometimes you can get tricked. For example, you might get a message from family, friends. It might seem urgent, right, but not really important. So you build up the skill of being able to be quite confident, and that's why the scheduling is important. Because now, when the friend calls you and says, "Hey, Tom, let's go out," you understand. Hang on, it's time for creative time. We can spend time, but I'll be available on Fridays. I'll be available on Saturday. That's the type of avatar that I want you guys to start transforming into. Someone who's in control rather than being passive. Don't let life pass you by. Because now, instead of you being in control of the seconds that you're living, life is actually controlling you. Isn't it? You don't want to be there. Be on top of the game. We talked about this, outsourcing and delegating. This just a summary. Tracking your progress becomes important. I do a reflection every Sunday. Every Sunday, I just sit down for an hour and I reflect on it. Where did I go well? Where did I not go well? What was the reason for this? What was the reason for me doing well? Let me do more of that. Right? What was the reason for not achieving the goals I set myself? Let me do less of that. It's important to reflect and put in corrective action there and there. So instead of waiting 6 months to realize I didn't achieve my goals, you actually can put in corrective action every week. I thought I was going to do it, I didn't do it. I'm scrolling too much. I'm doing this. Let me cut down on it. So reflection is important in the process, and do it regularly. For me, at least once a week helps. Cool. Yeah. I guess. Yeah, go ahead. So just to summarize, we all put in place to achieve our goals. We all have a specific mandate and mission that we've been put on earth to do. Fortunately or unfortunately, no one is here to save us. Only we, with the right tools and information, can be able to achieve our goals. So, number one, avoid the misconceptions about what is time and what it isn't. Start planning today. Be clear on what your goals are and don't compromise on them. Regularly reflect on your goals so that ultimately you can see, am I doing well? Am I not doing well? Lastly, give yourself grace. When you move on and you achieve a goal, that's progress. You don't end up being financially free, for example, if that is your goal overnight. You start off saving 1,000 Rand, 2,000, 3,000, and then it ultimately compounds. Trust me, I know this as a financial services person, the power of compounding, where habits build on habits and you grow and improve over and over and over again. is more sustainable than trying to achieve one thing at once. So improve and grow and give yourself grace as you improve. And in closing, I just want to leave and say, in life, we're all called to achieve different variety of things. I always like this quote, right? So Winston Churchill said, all I have to offer is blood, sweat, and tears. Calvin Coolidge, one of the best presidents that I've in my lifetime that I remember, said, we're not remembered by what we receive. Honor is the reward for what we give. All of us seated here today have a unique story and a unique gift in line with our theme that you need to give to the broader society. But your inability to manage your time is getting in the way. Put in corrective action so that we can start seeing the real you, not the artificial person that is being dribbled by life because of time. No, the true essence of who you are. I can see it. It's inside of you. I can see it. Do it. If not for anyone, but yourself. You owe the world and yourself. And trust me, at the end, thank you and say, I now am truly, truly, truly happy. Seize the seconds. Thank you. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you soon. You can reach out to me, contact me. Yeah, I'm available, LinkedIn, social media, all platforms. Thank you.